Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic. If you own a lake home or have a pond on your property, call my friends at Aquaside so you can get rid of the weeds and algae that are freaking the kids out. They have a complete line of lake and control products that take care of that stuff. The products are easy to use. They work quickly. They're registered with the EPA and DNR. There is no need to let weeds or gunk overtake your lake or pond this summer. Call Aquaside today. Describe your problem. They'll get you the right products, and your place will look great all summer long. Call Aquaside at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquaside.com.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Mr. Hauser, I need to mention that I forgot to include on yesterday's program our fine friends at Renewal by Anderson that normally bring us This Day in History, but because Joe is out for the remainder of the week, Rook and I just decided we ain't doing This Day in History. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned our friends at Renewal by Anderson.
And our feedback has been very positive for not for we love the sponsorship, but our feedback for not doing that has been
that's way too much work.
Well, how do people get through their day without knowing what the temperature was 63 years ago today?
Yeah.
Or what Alexander Ramsey did when he arrived here via steamboat.
He lit one up. I think.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it was a big fat stogie.
Right. Although one of the things that was cool a couple of days ago, in fact, because I brought it up, the Rapidan Bridge, or excuse me, dam down in
the Rapidan Dam. We
Rapidan Dam.
Say it 5 times fast, real quick.
Because I'll get in trouble. But I attempted to go there last Thursday. You can't even get, because it was inspired by This Day in History for whatever reason it came up, and you can't even get to the bridge because now they've closed off the bridge because they're worried about the bridge now coming down as a result of all the water down that way.
Yes, which is a little alarming. In fact, Governor Walz is down there today. I believe I think he's going to be there at 12:30.
Did you happen to see the governor's comments about Joe Biden? He was, I don't know
which ones. He was on Fox, which surprised me.
He said the reason that President Biden may have been a little off his game for the debate was because he had called Governor Walz. He had called him to worry about the flooding issue. So he thought maybe that was the reason. I don't think so.
Where's all that water coming from?
I'm not sure that we know that, do we?
Right. But he said that on an outlet this morning. I should find it. I'm going to find it right now.
If you could find that, because I
get all my news from Twitter, Tom. I don't know if you know this about me or not, but Joe loves that.
I don't know that among all the things that might be top of mind for any president, that the flooding in Minnesota would be up there, given Ukraine and Israel.
Okay. Here we go. This is from Alpha News. Walz suggests that Biden's phone call to check in on Minnesota flooding took away from his debate prep time. Minnesota's Democratic governor continues to
did it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so anyway, so he says that, and I'm going to see what outlet that the governor was on. He had a poor night, Governor Tim Walz said. He was on PBS's NewsHour on Friday, and he had suggested that.
Wow. Well, that's a new interpretation of what transpired.
God, you are so good at being diplomatic.
Deferring
seriously, I am so impressed with how good you are at that, man. I'm in awe. I'm really in awe. Well, and I gotta go shut the door because my kids are talking.
That's okay. As they say, no opinions on the news, and I do not offer a lot of opinion. I will offer opinions when people question news coverage and the way we covered things.
Okay.
I don't.
Meaning you were biased or you were
Yes.
You were way too, it was.
Yes. Or for instance, the other day, and you guys follow me on X or Twitter or whatever, and I like to mix it up with.
Yes, you do.
But only, and I try to be. I'm respectful especially with anyone who uses their real name on there. But here's a guy I blocked the other day, and then
Hey, butthead, you were a lefty flaming liberal.
And then I made a screenshot of it as I blocked him, because at some point I will just use this as an example of what I'm up against every day. Some guy was badgering me about something. I forget even what it was. But here's
Was it debate related? Maybe
it could have been. It could have been anything related. Trust me. If it's politics, I can be thrown under any bus. But how do you respond to a guy and hold anybody accountable whose Twitter handle is "Guess Who Farted One"?
Wait, that wasn't one of my kids, was it?
Yeah,
It
wait
might
a
have
minute.
been.
Hang
Can
on.
we get them in here?
Hang on.
I'd like to find out. But when you're up against that level of intellect on social media, I mean, I might have said, I'm going to use that name, when I was like 12,
Yeah.
but I would not do it, as an adult. And then this person is somehow trying to hold me accountable for some perceived misdeed. And I just didn't understand that. But then there was somebody, a couple of exchanges I've had when I tweeted yesterday about Nicole Mitchell's latest situation. Let's call it a situation.
Yeah.
And then somebody's comment was, and he does use his real name, and I tried to be respectful, but he said, there is other news today. And it was like, he thinks that's the only thing I covered yesterday. On any given day, I could cover any number of stories.
Right.
And the station, and so I sent him kstp.com. Feel free to peruse
Right.
what.
It's not all Mitchell all the time.
No, the width. I did one tweet about it yesterday. And I'm sure he was referring to the Trump verdict or the U.S. Supreme Court ruling involving Trump. And I had also done a story on that yesterday. So I had also put that. So, but that was a mild one. And this guy, to his credit, used his real name. I assume it was his real name. It was a very common name. So that's the other thing you don't know. You assume.
Harry.
There was no picture. There was no picture with it. So you really don't know.
Use his middle initial too, right? Yeah. Okay.
But it is just remarkable to me, the people who will, especially an event like that debate, if you don't have a headline on your story that just torches Joe Biden, then, you didn't watch the same debate. I didn't even cover the debate that night because I was out sick for a few days last week. I just retweeted an AP story and an ABC News story, and the headline on the AP one was something like something about Biden's halting performance and Trump's struggle with the truth or something, which was a pretty good, first crack at it.
Right.
In terms of, if you're not a flamethrower from the left or right, from the left, you would say 90 minutes of lies from Trump. And if you're from the right, it was 90 minutes of incoherence about Biden. This was down the middle. Oh, the people, and then they don't even bother to read the story. They only read the headline. And so they're badgering me about a headline. A, I did not write. Didn't write. B, it was clearly something I reposted. But I don't repost things that I don't think are worth people reading. Right. And it just, and that went on for hours. And it just, the struggle is real.
To your credit, though, and I would say, and to Pat Kessler's credit, I'm not that I who? Yes, I'm telling you. I don't know who the 9 guy, who the 11 guy is, the political reporter.
John Croman at 11. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know your politics. I don't know Kessler's politics. So, I mean, you both have been, as far as your reporting, yep, here we go. Here it's this. These are the numbers. This is what our poll says.
But speaking to what you were talking about, Tom, we're just, and I don't know, this is fairly recent where we have become just so angry about everything relating to politics. Is that recent? And I get it. It's going back a while, but it's the political season, especially in a year of a presidential election, it's going to be a little contested, a little heated, but we haven't nothing like what we've seen the last 8 years.
2 things about that. And I hate, because I hate it when people blame the media for everything. But I don't mind blaming social media, because everyone now has access, like
Sure.
Guess Who Farted One,
Right.
has access to Twitter. And
Can
then
you
he
make sure you isolate that on
I
tape?
will. Yes, we'll use that for
Okay,
future
good.
reference.
Yeah, right.
yes.
Thank you. That's our new drop.
he can glom on to my Twitter feed, make comments, get other, Guess Who Farted Two could then chime in and say, yeah, you're right. I'm outraged.
Mhm.
And so it's so much easier to light the fuse
Little
under
trolling.
people.
Trolling.
Yep.
Because you can be sitting in your living room.
Yep. And then everybody all of a sudden, starts getting all ginned up about this. And so the anger is not, now people have an outlet to express their anger.
Right.
And through significant ways. I mean, there's a lot of followers of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Luckily, Instagram has not gotten too political somehow, and almost everybody on there uses their real name. To the large extent, same thing with Facebook.
I would agree.
Same thing with Facebook. And I think the reason those are more civil areas is because people are using their real names. And you wouldn't believe how often I get people who write in and say, well, Tom, the reason we don't use our real name is because we're going to get threats and I might lose my job.
Don't say anything.
And all these things. And I'm going, well, then keep your bizarre thoughts to yourself,
right.
For instance. And that's a possibility. And maybe if you would lose your job or get threats, maybe what you're saying is a little bit out there.
Right.
And maybe you deserve to get threats or lose your job.
Right.
And I don't want to use any specific examples, but there's a wide spectrum of examples where you can have an intelligent conversation and disagreement about various issues without immediately going to,
a viper mode where you're gonna.
And I should look and just see if there's any examples even from today. And then Guess Who Farted just came up.
Yeah.
Never live that one down.
Right.
But on just almost any given day, there are, I should see if I could find some of the ones about the
But
debate.
who wants to waste all the time and effort? You know what? I've had presidents that my guy didn't win.
Yeah.
I didn't say, I want to move to Canada.
Right.
He's not my president. All that kind of stuff. I don't have the time or energy for that hate or anger. And I know people out there that's what they thrive on.
And, and some of the times when I do and I don't always take the time to respond to some of these
I
people,
wouldn't.
But sometimes you just feel like you have to because you just can't. Some of this stuff is so nonsensical. It's just hard to leave it unchallenged. But here was the headline that set people off when I posted this the other night. And by the way, my previous tweet had been about Kirby Puckett.
Okay,
So
wow.
I have a wide spectrum.
When he was
of
alive
things.
or post?
No.
Okay.
By the way, he had the highest career average of any right-handed batter since World War II.
Oh, I saw that same tweet. Yeah, that's
and
great.
so that's Super 70 Sports.
By the way, they need to bring back those powder blue Twins jerseys.
Those they occasionally do
those are
use them.
sweet,
Excuse
yeah.
me. Do I have a cough button over here?
I think you
mute,
do.
mute.
But are we going to be okay? Do
No,
we
I'm
need to call
fine.
the medic?
Because I see now the button that says dump. Does that mean I got to go to the bathroom, or does that mean
No,
dump the
that
whole
means,
program?
number
We gotta
one or
start
two.
over?
Hit mic 2
Yes.
for me, will you? And then we have a big Tampa Bay.
And what is
we have a Tampa Bay
yeah?
button.
What is the Tampa Bay button?
Tampa Bay button is just
I have tuberculosis.
yes.
Yeah, right.
So I've got to hit that button. Anyway, here is the headline that set people off. Debate takeaways. Trump confident even when wrong. Biden halting even with facts on his side. That was viewed 10,000 times. I got 57 comments about it. And but again, keep in mind, like Tom, I like you. We'll still watch, but your stock just went down 20 points. Be better, Tom.
Wow.
Let's see.
Well, I agree with that. You should always try to be better, Tom.
Did they at least give you knee pads, Tom?
Oh my God!
Yeah, and that was a guy who actually used his own name, so I let that one go. If you're going to cover a Trump lie, you better cover one of Biden's lies too. My God, what a headline, Tom! I mean, there's nothing wrong with that headline. The only thing it didn't do was satisfy these people who live in the anti-Biden echo chamber.
Right.
And
Right.
it was, I thought that headline, and it was from Associated Press.
But it just goes to show you that there's just a certain demographic of people on both sides of the political aisle that are just never going to be satisfied with anything, whether it's coverage, whether it's actually report. It doesn't matter. They're just going to be offended and they're going to be mad, regardless of what's put out there, right? From a consumption standpoint, whether it's in print or whether it's on television, social media, whatever.
And here's where we get into an example of chasing our tails on all of this. So I later then posted a fact check that, you know, a number of outlets had done fact checks. I know CNN's said that Trump lied or told mistruths or passed along misinformation 30 times and Biden 9 times. And so 9 is a lot.
That's what we're gauging it on.
Yeah,
okay.
but 9 is still a lot. But 30 is a lot, as my kids would say when they were younger.
Yeah.
And then so somebody writes in, please share unbiased fact checks so people can get honest information. And then I wrote back, what do you consider unbiased? Everything from your echo chamber? Why would you start caring about honest information now? That was my response. And then somebody else, always nuance, Hauser. The AP has been a great purveyor of misinformation. Who's checking them? It's like, how do you, what the people who write things like that don't understand is that, and this goes even for you two, we all answer to bosses who have a financial stake in what we're doing, whether it's a podcast, whether it's AM radio, FM radio, or television. And if we start putting out stuff that is dishonest, it is misinformation, it is biased, we're going to lose our jobs.
You'll be called out. Yeah.
And we should.
Where it matters.
Yes.
You'll be called out where it matters.
Well, let's be clear, though. When I do that on my show with Fred Aloni, no one's listening.
Okay, so
there I'm okay.
Well, that's a good point.
It's not a perfect scenario,
but
I get your overall point.
People don't understand that, you know, we're all accountable because our station does not want to face a lawsuit.
Right.
And whether it's about a court case or politics or whatever, we do not want to be taken to the legal woodshed. Whereas Guess Who Farted One has no concern about spreading malicious lies and untruths because he's a moron who uses a name like that on Twitter and then tries to pass off his opinion as if it matters to anyone. That's why I block people like him, because I sent a broadside toward him, then said, see you later.
See you later.
Speaking of see you later.